There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 5, Home Affairs Appropriation Bill.
I now invite the Honourable the Minister of Home Affairs to introduce the debate.
Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Honourable Members. In the 60th year since the adoption of the Freedom Charter, the Department of Home Affairs remains committed to realizing the historic aspirations of the people of South Africa. We believe that our work is a critical enabler for all the declarations in the Freedom Charter, for it is our department that ensures the status of each South African to ensure that the status of each South African is recognized, enabling them fully to exercise their rights and responsibilities as citizens. I want to be absolute. If there was any doubt about the need further to uphold and entrench the values and aspirations of the Freedom Charter, the recent despicable attacks on foreign nationals have been a grim reminder. I want to be absolutely clear. No grievance justifies violence against any person, regardless of their nationality or immigration status. After the 2008 incidents of violence against foreign nationals, Home Affairs joined other government departments in taking deliberate steps to ensure such tragic events would not happen again. Through the Interministerial Committee on Migration convened by the President, we are working with other departments to address the underlying issues leading to the tensions we have witnessed. We believe that these efforts, along with the policy review process and initiatives on border management, which I will outline today, will significantly improve our nation's management of international migration. Chairperson, since 2005, when we began offering birth registration services at hospitals, we have explained why it is crucial to register the birth of your child within the first 30 days. We have also announced that we are taking steps to end late registration of birth as a widespread practice as of December 31st, 2015, due to the progress we have made in the National Population Registration Campaign and the ongoing risks associated with LRP. From January 1st, 2016, all births registered after 30 days will have to undergo a rigorous process to prove that the child really is a South African citizen. The process will be designed to ensure that no genuine South African is at risk of losing their citizenship. Chairperson, I have outlined 5 priorities for the Department of Home Affairs for the 2015-2016 financial year. The first priority is to make progress on the current phase of the modernization program, which is critical to improve services to citizens, as a digital paperless back office environment will enable the department the more efficiently to serve customers. An example of this is the new live capture system used for both ID smart cards and passports, which is a quick and convenient process with the documents produced in less than a week in most cases. This clearly demonstrates the benefits to citizens of a Home Affairs that operates on digital paperless systems. Accordingly, our key objectives for the modernization program in 2015-2016 are as follows. On the National Identity System, we will issue more than 2.2 million smart ID cards to citizens. We will procure hardware for the development of a new automated fingerprint identification system, and we will begin upgrading the electronic movement control system at our ports of entry to capture biometric data of all foreign nationals entering the Republic beginning in January 2016. And with regards to e-channels, we have entered into an exciting partnership with 4 major banks, FNB, ABSA, Standard Bank, and Nedbank, which will allow us to accept applications for ID smart cards and passports at banks by the second quarter of this financial year. It is essential that we establish an uninterruptible service network which will enable us to service citizens irrespective of electrical and other faults. None of the advances I've talked about will deliver better services unless we have access to reliable networks. Recently, our clients have occasionally been frustrated by system disruptions and long queues at offices offering ID smart cards. We have implemented several solutions to resolve these issues, including a new disaster recovery site, installing generators at offices, and developing an offline mode which will allow us to continue serving customers for a short duration. Our e-channel strategy will also be helpful in this regard, in providing alternative channels for us to serve clients, thus expanding our footprints and minimizing queues. Let us imagine a client called Takalani. In September this year, she will log on to DHA on an internet application to apply for a passport or an ID. She will pay her fees by electronic funds transfer, and then she will book an appointment online. When Takalani comes for the appointment at her bank, she will go to the counter allocated to DHA officials who will verify her identity online and capture her biometrics digitally. A few days later, she will receive a message to collect her document. Going forward, the same system will be rolled out to specific digitized offices. Next week, at our Edenvale office, we will begin piloting a payment system that will allow clients to pay for Home Affairs services with debit and credit cards, which we will roll out to all 140 IT Smart Card offices by March 2016. Chairperson, our second major priority this year is the establishment of an effective border management agency in the 2016-17 financial year. We have developed a model approved by Cabinet for a specialized agency which will significantly improve the management of our ports of entry and borderline. Enabling legislation is being drafted and will be introduced in Parliament by the third quarter of this financial year. The Department of Home Affairs has assumed leadership for the Border Control Operational Coordinating Committee, and 93 officials have been seconded to the BMA Project Management Office. Ports of entry, which will serve as BMA pilot sites, have been identified for rollout in the 2015-2016 financial year to test the new integrated model with all officials under one command structure. In the coming weeks, as an interim measure, we will be launching a program aimed at strengthening the control of the border environment prior to the establishment of an integrated BMA. Chairperson, a related and third priority is the revamp of the physical and systems infrastructure of the 6 key land ports of entry at Bait Bridge, Lebombo, Kopfontein, Oshhoek, Fixbeck Bridge, as well as Maseru Bridge. We will work closely with National Treasury to develop viable funding and management models to address the serious infrastructure deficiencies at our key ports of entry. To this end, we will be appointing a transaction advisor to undertake the technical studies required to support these proposals. Chairperson, our fourth priority is the comprehensive review of our international migration policy. Last year, we began a total review of our outdated 1999 white paper on international migration. This process is now at an advanced stage. While it would be premature to outline specific policy positions, I can promise this House and the nation at large that we will emerge with a modern, progressive, and robust policy on international migration, which will take into account the enormous current and potential contribution of immigrants in our society and our connectedness with the rest of the world, while minimizing associated risks and protecting our national interest. The Green Paper will be finalized by March 2016, leading to a white paper and comprehensive overhaul of legislation subsequently. We are continuing to implement the immigration regulations of 2014, working closely with stakeholders to resolve any implementation issues as they arise. The introduction of visa facilitation centers has improved customer service, realized significant efficiencies, and has improved security. In order to improve access to our visa system, 9 new centers have been opened in India, and an additional 2 will be opened in China. The 10-year multiple entry visa for BRICS business people has been well received. We will work with other departments on how and when to extend a similar visa to other countries. This year, in partnership with the Gauteng Development Agency, we will launch an immigration business hub in Sentin that will provide one-stop advice and services. I have established a panel of experts on immigration management practices to advise on innovative ways to improve our visa system. We must never forget that many other countries are competing for the same skilled international migrants. We are at the advanced stages of developing an initiative to make it easier for foreign students with critical skills to remain in the country after graduating from our universities. Similarly, we are looking at ways to make it easier for holders of corporate visas to acquire critical skills visas. South Africa receives among the highest number of asylum seekers in the world. The Deputy Minister will update you on steps being taken to address challenges in this area. Our final and 5th priority is to ensure a consistently high quality of customer experience in our front offices. Our strategy, which we want to share with the public, is to challenge the leadership of the department to establish model offices. The vehicle for this program is the Moitapile initiative, which the President is launching on the 12th of May 2015. The Deputy Minister is charged with oversight of this project and will provide details in her speech. Chairperson, the Government Printing Works is undertaking the following initiatives to achieve the objective of becoming Africa's leading producer of security documents by 2017. First, the Security Printers Bill is to be introduced during this financial year to enable the transition from a government component to a state-owned company within 2 years. Secondly, the 600 million rand asset recapitalization program will continue in 2015-2016 for completion by 2019. Amongst other benefits, this will enable the Government Printing Works to increase its production of ID smart cards. Thirdly, a 1 billion rand development of the GPW headquarters is on track. This will be completed in 2019, bringing all GPW functions into one state-of-the-art, highly secure facility. And finally, the construction of a high-speed examination printing facility and dispatch center for passports and smart ID cards will begin during this financial year. In the 2015-2016 financial year, we are transferring 1.5 billion rand to the Independent Electoral Commission. In conclusion, Home Affairs remains committed to becoming a modern, professional department offering critical services which will enable all South Africans to realize the aspirations of the Freedom Charter and the Constitution. Finally, I would like to thank the Deputy Minister, the Director General, the CEO of GPW, Deputy Directors General, and all Home Affairs and Government Printing Works and IEC staff for their hard work, dedication, and constructive support. I further would like to thank the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Mashile, as well as all the members of the committee for their support and constructive criticism and guidance in the execution of our mandate. Not least, I would like to thank my wife, Noma Kule, my children and family for their unwavering support as we continue to execute our mandate and serve our nation. Chairperson, it is my privilege at this moment to table this, the Budget Vote 5 for the Department of Home Affairs before this August House, and I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I now call upon the Honourable Mashile.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister Gigaba, Honorable Deputy Minister Chon, and Honorable members. The Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs met with the department on the 17th of March 2015 and also met with the Electoral Commission and the Government Printing Works on the 24th of March 2015 to receive their briefings on their strategic plans over the next 5 years and relevant annual performance plans for the 2015-2016 financial year, as well as their related budgets. The total budget for the Department of Home Affairs is 6.45 billion for the 2015-2016 financial year, inclusive of transfers to the entities. Chairperson, the committee receives briefings from Home Affairs, Police and Small Business Development last week, Tuesday, on the 28th of April 2015 on violence against foreign nationals and related small business. After the presentation on the government intervention by the National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure, the committee resolved to support the interventions led by the President and condemn the violence in the most strongest terms. We have noted that some interventions are yielding results in rounding up illegal foreigners, drugs, and illegal firearms. I therefore call upon the department and related organs of state to speedily process the illegal immigrants to avoid overcrowding at Lindela Repatriation Center. Call upon our people to engage on any challenge they come across within the communities. We say no to violence. Honorable members, I should indicate that the Department of Home Affairs is responsible for determining and recording the identity and status of our people living in South Africa and issuing of documents to affirm that. This is done under two broad categories, the civic services and the immigration services. The civic affairs is the custodian of the National Population Register, which contains the records of all citizens and permanent residents, including changes in status, such as marriages and deaths. Services to citizens include issuing enabling documents after their status is confirmed, verification of identity to government institutions, banks, and other private sector institutions. The Immigration Affairs determines the status and identity of foreign nationals, regulate the immigration through permitting and movement control systems, and provide consular services abroad. The branch also has inspectorate function responsible for enforcing the Immigration Act and its regulations. Added to this function is the processing and determination of status of asylum seekers and refugees. This is done within the prescripts of the AU and the UN conventions. The functions outlined above ensure that the prescripts of the Freedom Charter are enhanced. All shall enjoy equal human rights, and there shall be peace and friendship. These enabling documents enable citizens to access all rights and free movement within and abroad. All this work talks to four national outcomes, which are the following: all people in South Africa are and feel safe, decent employment through inclusive economic growth, an efficient, effective, and development-oriented public service, and nation building and social cohesion. In line with the above, the establishment of the Border Management Agency to secure our borders, the cleaning of the population register, regulation of immigrants and refugees will ensure access to rights and social cohesion will be enhanced. The registration of births within the first 30 days will ensure clean population register. This speaks to the core mandate of the department, that is to secure identity and citizenship, to manage immigration securely and deliver services related to these critical functions of the state. The department has a modernization program aimed at replacing outdated systems by paperless, integrated, secure digital platform. This includes live capture and biometrics technology to enhance security. This program will deal a serious blow to corruption and fraud by reducing human intervention in the processes and systems. The National Development Plan obliges the department to facilitate the acquisition of critical skills for the economy and also enable efficient, secure, and managed movements of people. This is achieved by simplifying the applications for such needed skills. Honorable members, the Electoral Commission is conducting local government elections in 2016. We hope to fill the outstanding vacancy in the Commission within the next 2 months. We congratulate the recent appointment of Mr. Vuma Dlenton Mashinini as a commissioner. His knowledge on electoral matters will assist the Commission to ensure free and fair elections. It is, however, important that the Municipal Demarcation Board completes its work on delimitation of wards in time for the IEC to complete its work. On the other hand, we have a professionally run and secured state printer responsible for the printing of most government documents, inclusive of our smart ID cards. Since the government printing works is mostly self-financing, it is important that it secures business even outside government to ensure sustainability of finances and human resources. Honorable members, we appreciate the strides that the department has made on civic affairs over years to turn its challenges around. However, to attend to some of the issues that create discomfort in the country, the committee has made recommendations to address this. Some are the following. Department of Home Affairs to ensure that personal information of citizens is safe in the applications of smart ID cards through the banks and post office. The Department of Home Affairs to improve the capacity of the inspectorate to be able to discharge their responsibilities in respect of the non-compliant foreign nationals. The Department of Home Affairs to secure the vetting of its officials by the State Security Agency. Electoral Commission to work closely with Municipal Demarcation Board to finalize the delimitation of wards in time for the 2016 local government elections. The Electoral Commission to pay attention to the availability of infrastructure for elections and functionality of the future technology, particularly on the new barcoded scanner units. Government printing works to remain ahead of criminal syndicate with regard to security of our documents. The government printing works to find innovative ways to retain and sustain staff. Chairperson, I believe that attention to these recommendations will address some of the weaknesses and enhance improvement in the performance of the department as a whole. Chairperson, the Freedom Charter enjoins all of us to ensure that South Africans enjoy equal rights. These rights can be enjoyed by citizens who are safe and feel safe. This budget, through the civic services, immigration services, electoral commission, as well as the government printing works, is achieving this intent in a big way. Only the ANC-led government has the capacity to bring better life to South Africans. Therefore, the African National Congress support this budget vote 5 and move for the adoption of the report of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs on the annual performance plan and budget vote 5 of the Department of Home Affairs dated 21 April 2015. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Hussein.
Honourable Chair, we meet at a time when just days ago we collectively reflected on the achievement of the non-racial democracy and freedom that we all enjoy today. South Africa is a better place today than it was before 1994. We have made significant advances in protecting the rights and freedoms of all South Africans, and today most South Africans enjoy the freedom and success of our democratic dispensation. The Home Affairs Department has also played its part in contributing towards the protection of the rights and freedoms of all South Africans. We must all celebrate the advances we have made as a nation, but we must also not become saturated with self-praise and honor. All of us have a responsibility as leaders of society to question our weaknesses and failures, not in a manner that serves to gain political advantage over each other, but in a manner that will challenge ourselves to look deeper at our actions and hold ourselves accountable for our own performance. For as long as we keep denying our failures and defending the indefensible, our people will lose hope in their future. If I join the ANC will grow. We must be honest and open about our failures and give credit for our successes. We cannot do one without the other. The freedom that we fought for is under threat. In particular, there are failures of Home Affairs Department that weaken our freedom, and if we pretend that these do not exist, we will wake up one day when it is far too late. Such was in the case of the recent violence against foreign nationals. The recent xenophobic violence was a horrendous experience for many South Africans and foreigners alike. We must condemn this in every possible sense. Violent attacks on any person, whether legal or illegal, is unacceptable. No good can come out of violent behavior. It serves only to advance the interests of hooligans and gangsters. Let us not forget that South Africa has emerged from a culture of violence in our past to a new culture of democracy today. For some, the culture of violence still lingers on. And when government fails to properly implement its own laws, citizens then take it upon themselves to solve their own problems. There is no excuse for violent behavior in our democratic South Africa, but our frustrated citizens took it upon themselves to deal with the failure of our government, the high number of illegal foreigners in our country. South Africans have lost confidence in our minister's ability to control the influx of illegal foreigners into our country. The influx of illegal immigrants is not a phenomenon isolated to South Africa alone. It is a worldwide problem. And governments all over the world take proactive steps to meet the demand and invest more in its capabilities to control the inflow. We have seen this happen very recently when the EU met urgently to address this problem. Leaders of the EU met and took proactive steps to reduce the influx of illegal immigrants and prevent citizens from taking the law into their own hands. Similar steps and investments by other countries were recently adopted as well. But here in South Africa, we don't make those investments. We don't take proactive steps. We play the blame game. Our government operates in a permanent crisis mode, and our president is constantly involved in damage control. For several years now, it was known to both the current and former ministers of Home Affairs that hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants were making home in our country. They knew for many years that our borders were not properly controlled, but they did nothing. And when the violence broke out, our minister went into shock and horror mode, and then he needed someone to blame it on. The minister needed a scapegoat. He took the easy route and he blamed the violence on the king. And when he realized that the king had political clout in KZN and that could damage the ANC, he backtracked very quickly. President Zuma was also in damage control mode, and he too needed someone to blame it on. He took the madness much further and blamed the xenophobic violence on other countries instead of looking into the failures of his own government. Then suddenly President Zuma deployed the defense force. Tell us why, Minister. You didn't see it fit to ask the president to do this before, when you knew very well that there was a serious problem with control at our borders. But you respond now. And now suddenly we see there's an investment of 118 million to boost the Inspectorate Division, the division that's responsible for seeking, arresting, and deporting illegal foreigners. So tell us, Honorable Minister, why was this investment not made earlier when you knew the problem was spiraling out of control? Your late intervention, I'm afraid, is too little too late. The 118 million rand over 3 years will not achieve the results that we want in a short space of time. That amount will only increase the Inspectorate by about 170 odd officers. By contrast, as the DG informed us last week, the City of London has about 3,500 immigration officers. We have 700 for the entire country. And the extent of illegal immigrants in South Africa is far greater than that of London. Our government does not live up to its failures. It plays the blame game. You see, Honorable Chairperson, the reason why we have load shedding is because government failed to invest in Eskom. And the reason why we had xenophobic violence is because the minister failed to invest in border security and in resourcing the inspectorate. It is that simple, Honorable Minister. You don't need crime intelligence to give you the reasons for the violence long after the violence starts. I'm giving it to you now for free. But you know it too. We have one crisis after the next in immigration, and yet you see fit to allocate only 15% of the budget to immigration affairs. This department has been under-resourced now for many years, and the poor results are starting to show. Last week, we were informed that just over 330,000 people overstayed their visas since 2010. Where are these people, and why has your department not traced them? Why has your department not arrested them, repatriated them to their own countries? And these are illegal foreigners that we know about who entered the country legally through a border post. There are possibly hundreds of thousands more in our country, and not even you or your own department know exactly what that figure is. Honorable Minister, take responsibility for your department's failures. Tell South Africa the truth. The root cause of the recent xenophobic violence in the country was because you failed to control the influx of illegal foreigners in the country, and you failed to reduce the number of foreigners already in the country, the illegal ones. While the real priorities in your department were being ignored, you've been busy with all sorts of PR exercises to grow your own public profile. You are not a GQ model, Honourable Minister. You are the Minister of Home Affairs. Now, Minister, let me tell you, I'm going to stay there, and you're going to be sitting this side just now. Honourable Minister, even if you make a better investment in the inspectorate, you are going to have yet another problem. Let me point it out to you. Make a note of it. Hopefully you will take me seriously and you will prevent yet another disaster in your department. If you succeed in the months ahead to arrest thousands of illegal immigrants, you will perhaps regain the confidence of South Africans that you are finally implementing the immigration laws of the land effectively. But then you will have another problem. Where will you keep these people that you are going to arrest? You and I both know, and the chairperson mentioned it just now, that Lindela Repatriation Center is overcrowded with shocking conditions. And you are struggling to manage the numbers. Your department also has a terrible track record when it comes to human rights violations and non-compliance with the Immigration Act. That is why the High Court ruled against your department dozens of times, which is costing the country millions of rands in legal fees, money that we could have rather used to employ more inspectors. So tell us, Honourable Minister, what is your plan? Do you even have a plan? Or are we going to see yet another disaster at Lindela? Yes, we will see another disaster. Honourable Chairperson, while we celebrate our own Bill of Rights, this department violates the rights of foreigners at the drop of a hat. Recently, the Constitutional Court ruled that a prisoner held in custody must not be deported to face the death penalty in Botswana. Home Affairs ignored that order and deported him anyway. What consequences are there for those involved in this violation of the court ruling and the human rights of the individual concerned? Your department, Minister, remained silent. Chairperson, our hard-won democracy in our country was eventually achieved through peaceful negotiations and free and fair elections. We would have never achieved the democracy that we have today had it not been for the independence of the Electoral Commission. The work that they do is admired all over the world, more especially because the IEC command the respect of all South Africans and all political parties. But that respect and confidence is now being eroded because the ANC has seen it fit to railroad the appointment of Mr. Mashinini, a known ANC sympathizer and former advisor to President Zuma, as a commissioner and now the chairperson of the IEC. This is yet another attempt by the ANC. The ANC doesn't like it when you
Order,
tell the
honourable
truth.
members, order.
This is yet another attempt by the ANC and President Zuma to capture another state institution to further the interest of the ANC. Regrettably, the appointment of Glenn Mashinini to the IEC will have far-reaching implications for the independence and impartiality of the IEC in the future. The very real possibility exists that more political parties will question the outcome of future elections. If the ANC was not in the business of skewing results in their favor, why then would they appoint a known sympathizer to chair an institution that is meant to be free from all political manipulation? Our country is very dependent, Honourable Chairperson, on the billions of rands that are generated through tourism. And many, many thousands of jobs are now at risk because of the immigration regulations. What then, Honourable Minister, is the plan to undo the damage, your plan, to undo the damage and make South Africa an easier destination to visit, especially when the immigration regulations have had the opposite effect. Chair, the Department of Home Affairs plays a central role in protecting the rights and freedoms of all South Africans, but this cannot be done with declining revenue allocation to this department. And with the little money that is made available to run such a massive department, it is critical that the Minister takes steps to reduce wasted expenditure, especially on legal fees. As I've said earlier, our freedom is under threat, and now our democracy is equally under threat with a former senior ANC official heading up the IEC. The DA will not sit back and watch the ANC destroy every institution as it pleases. Our freedom and democracy belongs to all of us, and we will continue to fight to protect it. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I now recognize the Honourable Maxson.
Thank you, House Chairperson. The Economic Freedom Fighters does not support Budget Vote 5. Can you just listen,
Order,
because you are
honourable
cleaning your
members.
mess here. The Department
Order,
of Home
honourable
Affairs
members.
failed to bring the IEC to scrutiny before the Portfolio Committee for the 1.52 billion, which constitutes 24% of 6.45 billion votes which you are being requested to support here today. The IEC has now appointed Mr. Vuma Clinton Mashinini as one of the commissioners, and Mr. Mashinini is a former advisor of President Jacob Zuma, who also has, just listen, who also has a previous business links with the former chairperson of IEC, Patsi Tlakula, whom the public protector Thuli Madonsela found that he had a broken procurement regulations in securing a 320 million lease for the IEC head office. So what a shame. And had an unmanaged conflict of interest as a result of the separate and undisclosed business relationship with the ANC Thaba Mofokeng. Just imagine. Mr. Vuma will surely jeopardize the integrity, independence, as well as the outcome of the local government elections next year in 2016 to make sure
Order,
that the
honourable
ANC
members.
remains in power by hook or crook. Despite the billions of rands we are expected to approve it today, over 2 financial years, the department achieved only 13 out of its 51 targets. Where is the good story to tell? 13 out of 51 targets. Oh, what a shame. Over the same period, the department has had 301 million in unauthorized expenditure. Surely you owe the nation an explanation. Please. With the current capacity of producing 2.2 smart ID cards per year, in a population of 54 million, it means that it will take 25 years to produce for all South Africans. It is a shame. Or even 11 years if the target to produce 5 million per year is reached, of which I doubt very much. The department must develop its own capacity to execute its own function. It makes no sense that the VFS Global gets millions when the state could develop infrastructure to perform this function and the money can be redirected elsewhere. The massive fraud and corruption in that department is unprecedented, rendering the borders of the country porous and vulnerable to tourism and illicit trades and drug trafficking. The fact that the top ANC leaders like Gwede Mantashe and Jesse Duarte express conflicting sentiments in platforms on the issue of xenophobia
Honourable Maxson.
is a clear...
Honourable Maxson, will you just take your seat, please? Honourable Member, why are you rising?
Can the member take a question on what is meant by porous?
Honourable Member, are you prepared to take a question?
Porous.
Honorable Mpigwa Mthembu, next time. The fact that the top ANC leaders like Gwede Mantashe and Jesse Duarte express conflicting sentiments in public platforms on the issue of xenophobia is a clear indication that this current government does not have migration policy in place. And the latest xenophobic attack on our African brothers and sisters can largely be attributed to this. Gwede stands and pronounced that the solution to xenophobia is to build
Order,
the refugee
honourable
camps
members.
for our fellow African brothers, while his deputy opposed to this view. Oh, what a shame. A secretary and a deputy secretary conflicting views. The lack of migration and immigration policy breeds hatred between South Africans and fellow Africans brothers. The manner in which this department relates to African migration and its unclear migration policy treating them like criminals is no surprise that the xenophobic violence erupted in this country, and it must take full responsibility of not having intelligence capable of dictating such challenges. It simply means that this country does not have systems in place, such as early warning systems. The fact that the department's solutions to its migration policy failure, which have resulted in violence, was to deport African nationals back to their countries instead of addressing the real issues of the failed neoliberal economic policies of this government. It's a shame.
Honourable member, your time has now expired.
This country needs skills, this country needs jobs, this country needs
Order,
food
honourable
on the
members.
table. Thank you, Chair.
Order. Order. Honourable members, I'll request you just to calm down a bit. There's still a number of these debates that will take place. You'll need that energy. I now call upon the Honourable Nkomo.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. At the onset, let me state that the Inkatha Freedom Party supports this budget vote debate, and we also support the Honourable Minister. This portfolio holds a special place in our hearts as the IFP, as it was at one time the ministerial portfolio of our leader, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, for years, since 1994. Honourable Chairperson, this portfolio is not without its internal, regional, continental, and international challenges, and it's these that we seek to identify and assist the department in overcoming for the benefit of our country and all who live within its borders and all who travel to its shores. The department is currently dealing with the fallout from the recent spate of xenophobia and Afrophobia attacks in the country in an attempt, among others, to deport especially our illegal foreign migrants arrested last week as part of its Operation Fiela, and who are currently being held at departmental detention facilities. The IFP calls on the people of the revolution of goodwill in our country to embrace our foreign nationals in our country. And I think at this point, Honourable Chairperson, I would like to address the matter of the distortion that has been given to our country, especially by our media, pertaining to so-called statements which were made by His Excellency Ihlanga Lomhlabathi. It was extremely incorrect for the media to distort what the king had said. The king also called an imbizo where I was also present. The king called an imbizo where I was present, and he actually explained what he had said. We would like to encourage all those that are busy distorting everything which the king had said to actually come up with statements over what the king has said so that we can take the matter forward. And the king also stated that he welcomes Ubaba Umshwana and his investigating team to actually investigate and come up with the reality of the matter. The issue here about the king is that the people of the country have got to relax. He is His Majesty, whether we like it or not. Just like the Queen of England, we would like them to be acknowledged. The issue of illegal immigrants and the existing porosity of our borders remain a source of grave concern and add literal fuel to the fire surrounding the proliferation of xenophobia in our country. With Home Affairs, DG Mkhuseli Apleni advising Parliament recently, the Portfolio Committee, that is 700-member immigration unit, was unable to cope with the thousands of illegal immigrants who enter South Africa every day. We do understand that because they are actually illegal. But we need to come up with a system that will ensure that we address this matter head on. Visas and their issue remain another source of great contention for many requiring them, and our offices are often inundated with people who are at their wits and seeking assistance after having failed to obtain visas from some of our offices. South African passports and identity cards remain under international scrutiny. I think a case in point remains that traveling visas to the United Kingdom are actually given that extra eye so that things are done in a way that is correct. The issue of identity theft and fraud is also an issue which we would like the department to really look at quite critically and to acknowledge that it is a problem. In 2014, we, the IFP, requested the minister to appoint a task team to conduct a thorough investigation of all VEC4 votes for the last election, thereby identifying the weak spots in the process and making it impossible for fraud to occur via the VEC4 voting format.
Honourable Member, your time has now
We
expired.
still await feedback on this issue. The IFP again supports these votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I now call upon the Honourable the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs.
Honourable members, our officials and guests upstairs, good afternoon to all of you. Let us be absolutely clear, honourable members, that xenophobia is the hatred of foreigners for no reason other than they are different from us. This is no different from racism. And we pledged, all of us in 1994, to dispose entirely with all forms of racism. Yet from time to time, there is an eruption of racist attacks of the sort that we have seen in the last few weeks. And while we are all shocked at the sights of murder and mayhem and looting that are on our television screens, we are not the only country to suffer from this condition. Xenophobia has reared its head around Europe, Australia, and on our continent. We are no different in this regard, although some of us had hoped that we were, partly because millions of people around the globe supported us in our struggle against apartheid and racism. Wars and economic hardship on our continent continue to produce migrants and asylum seekers. We thus face, like other countries, the challenge of low-skilled migration into our country, as well as the challenge of illegal migration. As a society, we are too quick to turn to violence when faced with problems. Whether we are engaged in service delivery protests, whether we are dissatisfied with the appointments of teachers and principals at our local schools, or when the trains are simply late as we're standing on our platforms. This is at odds with our claim to be a democracy, a country steeped in the supremacy of law, ensuring justice for all who abide here. President Zuma asked a pivotal question recently: why do so many arrive at our shores? Certainly one reason that applies in too many cases is that people simply do not feel safe in their own countries because of violent conflict, arbitrary governance, and ultimately the absence of the rule of law. Building a democracy is not an easy task. Not in our case, and many have and will continue to make huge sacrifices for the sake of our freedom. But destroying a democracy is very simple. We have, as a nation, a choice to make, whether it is in breaking the small rules, like the rules of Parliament, or the larger ones, like not paying our taxes. The choice is our own. Each of us has to decide today where we shall be collectively tomorrow. The choice remains a very simple one. Upholding the rule of law is an investment in our future collective prosperity. We have taken this message to many different stakeholders over the last few weeks, with all of us at the department disrupting our usual work programs, and by the direction of the President, ably led by our Minister, we have met with people from all walks of life in various communities. The challenge we experience of many illegal foreign nationals in our country will confront us until all African countries are on a strong developmental trajectory. This inextricably requires reliable population registers and well-managed migration systems in each of our countries. We are pleased to report today to the House that our refugee centers in Musina and Durban have, in the last 2 years, recorded massive improvements in both accessibility and efficiency of processing applications. New applications are processed and adjudicated in less than a week. Just 4 years ago, when applicants who arrived at our centers, they faced the prospect of having to wait years before their applications were finalized. In these reception offices, Durban and Musina, genuine refugees are assisted swiftly and efficiently and can, in a matter of days, walk away with their refugee status. However, both Durban and Musina are underutilized, as the following figures will show. In Musina, we have a total of 19 refugee status determination officers, or RSDOs. Due to low numbers of applicants, 6 of them have been reassigned to other functions, and the remaining 13 officials are able to process all new applications either on the same day or within 2 days, depending on the circumstances presented. Musina receives approximately 400 applications a week, which pegs productivity levels of those RSDOs at approximately 6 files per day per RSDO. Durban receives approximately 150 new applications per week, and they have a contingent of 13 RSDOs, 2 of whom have been deployed to other functions. In both these centers, there is no backlog at all. In an environment of efficient and good management, corruption and other malpractices are eliminated. We have seen numbers of applicants dwindle in these reception centers, interestingly, concomitantly as their productivity levels and efficiencies have increased. Today, I wish to take this opportunity of commending the work of our officials in these 2 centers, and in particular, to recognize the center managers for their sterling leadership. Our gratitude is extended to Ms. Naleen Balgoband, Center Manager, Durban Refugee Reception Center, and Mr. Jimmy Malamela, Center Manager in Musina, for their outstanding leadership and good governance in promoting the country's humanitarian values. As the numbers dwindle in Durban and Musina, we saw a rise in the percentage of applicants in Marabastad. Zimbabwean nationals are still the largest category of new asylum applicants. One of the objects of the Zimbabwean special dispensation was to remove from the asylum database the large number of economic migrants produced from Zimbabwe who circumvented our immigration processes and used our refugee reception centers to regularize their work and stay in South Africa. One of the lessons we have learned out of this special dispensation is that far from reducing the number of Zimbabwean nationals in the asylum system, the special dispensation has encouraged many new entrants from that country into our asylum system in the hope that South Africa would further extend special dispensations to them. This we will certainly factor into our new immigration policy as we develop it in the next while. Marabastad continues to be a challenge both in terms of productivity and large number of complaints still being received relating to corruption and bad service ethic. This center still attracts the majority of new applicants, putting a large strain on our capacity, but also on the Gauteng province as a whole, and in particular the Johannesburg and Tshwane metros. Given that our largest capacity is deployed to this center, there are still operational challenges that we are working hard to resolve. We have agreed with the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Refugee Affairs that the issue of the quality of decisions of RSDOs must be enhanced, And with their cooperation, RSDOs will now be assessed and their decisions routinely quality checked by the Standing Committee. We wish to thank the chairperson and members of SCRA for their invaluable advice and support in our endeavor to turn around our asylum system. I'm also happy to report that together with the UNHCR, we are exploring options to deal with the under 100,000 files awaiting RSDO decisions as part of our backlog. There are also backlogs that pertain to the Refugee Appeals Board, and these are backlogs that have accumulated between 2006 and 2010. In order to assist us in this backlog project, we will be approaching Parliament to effect some amendments to the Refugee Act in order to enable us to employ appropriately qualified RSDOs, Refugee Appeal Board members, and Refugee Appeal Board members on a short contract basis in order to beef up our capacity for the limited period that it will take to finalize these backlogs. These amendments will also in future enable more flexibility and adequate responses to contingencies in the ASM regime as they occur. Our offices that are currently dedicated to backlogs, PE, Cape Town, and Tiro in Pretoria, have reported a significant level of no-shows on the part of applicants, but have also reported rather significant numbers of dormant files. Proposed amendments will be tabled for the consideration of honourable members to deal effectively with these matters. We are also looking at improving our ability to locate failed applicants who disappear into our communities and who then irregularly continue staying in the country, adding to our socio-economic challenges. In this regard, we shall need the support of both Parliament as well as our courts to effectively enforce our laws and to deport such persons. We once again contend that migration is only effectively managed when we all collaborate to enforce the laws which Parliament has enacted. Our Minister has mandated me to lead the Moitapile initiative. Moitapile means leadership, and we aim to extract precisely this from our officials, and thus to improve the client experience at each of our front offices. As the Minister has indicated, the Moitapile project will be launched by the President next week. Following extensive engagement, we agreed that the Moitapile project will speak to everyone in Parliament, from the lowest rank official to the highest. Inter alia, we hope to develop at frontline officers expertise in each of the products we offer to our clients, provide operational tools that enable the collective leadership to manage and administer business processes in support of service delivery, provide a professional environment ultimately for our clients to feel confident with the services they are receiving. A very important part of this process will be to educate our citizens about the centrality of Home Affairs products to unlock the opportunities that exist in our modern democracy. We also hope to forge a respect for the complexity of our work and our products. This is all part of transforming the client experience at our office. It really doesn't help for us to produce a world-class product, but then people lose them, or when they apply for them, they simply don't pitch up to collect them, or indeed, when people just simply hand them over to loan sharks to obtain credit and other facilities. So in this regard, we have with us today some very important young people who are Home Affairs ambassadors from local schools who have been selected to educate and empower their peers about the meaning of good citizenship. And with the assistance, where are they? There are too many to mention by name right now. But with the assistance of some of our stalwarts of our struggle, whom they have partnered with, they are going to explore the values of good citizenship and educate themselves about the relevance of our constitutional values in their young lives. Moitapile is aimed at extracting the best from our people, refining our systems, and developing secure products which must be held in high regard by South Africans. It is a massive task, but one that we will tackle with zeal. Every day we get closer to realizing the full potential of our people, our Motapile, who in all that they do show leadership. As I was writing this speech yesterday, I was interrupted by an incoming email. And I've asked the sender permission to read it out to you today because it in essence captures what we hope to achieve with Motapile. And it reads as follows: Dear Minister, I've been promoted, clearly, Minister. My wife and I this morning went to the Johannesburg office of Home Affairs, which is situated on the corner of Harrison and Plain Streets. It was an absolutely pleasant experience. Because of my age, the staff went out of their way to facilitate my application for a passport. My wife, who is not a pensioner yet, was accorded service that was second to none. My congratulations to all the staff, but a special thank you to Ms. Alta Barnard. She is the personal assistant to Ms. Lungile Kulise. She not only explained the procedures involved, but also assisted us when we got there. The whole process took us less than an hour. This from the front desk to the cashier to the photographers to the lady who took our fingerprints and captured the application on computer. Each and every person in this process that we had to deal with did so with a smile and efficiently. On reaching home, I phoned Ms. Nkusile to congratulate her on running an extremely efficient and pleasant office. She and her staff deserve orchids. Warm regards, Ahmed and Zarina Suleiman. This shortly is what we aim for with Motapile, or the Leadership Initiative, as we are of the view that every DHA official is capable of professional and dedicated service. And with your help, ladies and gentlemen, and your support, we shall certainly realize these goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Minister. I now recognize the Honourable Raputi.
My greetings to the Honorable Chairperson of the House, the Portfolio Committee, Ntate Mashile, the Whip of the Committee, Honorable Ntate Gumede, the Honorable Minister Ntate Kigaba, Deputy Minister Metro Chen, the Director General Ntate Aplin, the senior official of the Department of Home Affairs, and our honorable guest. During the State of the Nation address in 2015, the Honorable His Excellency, President Zuma said, our economy needs a major push forward, and outlined the 9-point plan to ignite growth and create jobs, and also to attract foreign skills. But here in the Home Affairs, we emphasize the foreign critical skills. South Africa, as a part of the global world, cannot be against foreign nationals, as some misleading the people of South Africa. We want to extend our sincere apology on what has happened during the attack of the foreign nationals. Chair, let me remind this august House that the Freedom Charter of the African National Congress was adopted in Kliptown, Soweto, Gauteng in 1955. This policy document will be turning 60 years on the 26th of June 2015. The Constitution of the Republic of South Africa draws its foundation from the Freedom Charter. This clause states that all living in South Africa shall enjoy equal human rights. And it further states that all shall be free to travel without restriction from countryside to town, from province to province, and from South Africa to abroad, which was a taboo during the apartheid era. I'm speaking about the freedom of movement, which here in Cape Town, in some of the exclusive suburbs, is still a taboo. The Cabinet Lekgotla of 2010 adopted the 12th outcome of the Freedom Charter, and the Department of Home Affairs contributes to the third outcome that states all South Africans are and should feel safe. I'm talking about the safety of a person, safety of our documents. And to carry out this responsibility is done by two branches in the Home Affairs, which is namely the Civic Service and the Immigration Services. Our chairperson has already outlined the responsibility of the civic services of our committee. Chair and honorable members, during the 53rd National Conference of the ANC in Mangaung, 2012, on the Peace and Stability Cluster, resolutions were taken on home affairs, which are very crucial on issues relating to the safety and the security. The ANC is very clear on what the government should do on the said resolution. Kindly revisit them and read them. Now I'm going to talk about the Immigration Affairs branch and their responsibility. Department determines the status of the identity of the foreigners, regulates immigration through permitting, movement control system, and provides consular services abroad. The immigration officers are present at port of entry, regional offices, and in the provinces. The branch has inspectorate which function and the responsibility of enforcing the Immigration Act number 13 of 2002. Thirdly, the immigration services provide immigration services in foreign countries, detract, change, and deport illegal immigrants in terms of the Immigration Act 2002, and conduct investigation with other law enforcement bodies. Madam Chair, as lawmakers, we are fully aware that immigration is an international phenomenon. Uncontrolled immigration can raise tension in communities and can be exploited by crime syndicates. And in our midst today, we are having the inspectorate. I think this August House will be able to see them, how do they look. And the other function of the immigration affairs is border management is also part of the responsibility of the National Department of Home Affairs, which is leading the establishment of Border Management Agency. The bill will be introduced in the 2015-2016 financial year. Chair, honorable members, it is a prerequisite that all South Africa are and should feel safe. I'm emphasizing, it is a prerequisite that South Africans are and should feel safe. The Department of Home Affairs should know and protect the identity and the status of every citizen and every foreigner who enters South Africa legally through identified systems that are secured. The department should put systems in place that should identify the potential risks and threats from domestic crime and international terrorism. For realizing this third outcome, it is therefore important that South African borders needs to be effectively defended, protected, and secured. Honorable Chair, this House should note that presently our government has deployed soldiers to our border posts. Honorable Chair, on the 28th of April 2015, a report was presented to the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs by the National Joint Operational Intelligence Structure. They gave a report that between the year 2010 and 2015, the Immigration Affairs recorded about 333,874 overstayed visitors. It's because they love South Africa, because South Africa is a safe place to live in. We as the ANC, we support this budget vote. And as during the 8th statement of the ANC here in Cape Town, when the stadium was painted black, green, and gold, as the ANC was turning 100 years of existence, that is the sign of wisdom, maturity, with think tanks, intellectual capabilities. The President, Honorable Jacob Zuma, made a clarion call. I quote, "It is the African National Congress cadres who must be involved in the ongoing challenges that our people face in our neighborhoods." Community safety forums, so the ANC cadres, they cannot be xenophobic. I thank you.
Honorable Feldane. Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister and Deputy, and members and our guests, it's an honor for me to participate in this debate. I am not a member of this committee. I've had to read about it all. But my sister worked for Home Affairs for many years. That we're no longer talking about corruption and that we're seeing better management of the department is something that we really appreciate, Minister and your team. This is welcome news. This is a department that partly defines the state that South Africa is. Two major components of a state are the people as well as the land. And this is where the seniority of this department comes in. And by extension, it is the same department through IEC that defines our legislative institutions. Excuse me. Poor implementation of immigration laws opened us up to unlawful immigrants, some lawful ones staying longer unlawfully. That needs to be attended to. Those allowed in on the basis of critical skills needed by our country should have to impart those skills to SA citizens, I recommend. Bring back the soldiers to guard our borders. We need that. Involvement of banks for ID remains a contentious issue, given the number of scams that are bank-related that we are still getting. We are a little bit scared, Minister. This is not to say your department should reverse on this, but please know that some of the citizens are extremely concerned. Do a skills audit, this is another recommendation, of all foreigners in our country. That will help you to have a clear picture of who is actually here and can actually benefit the citizens that we are. The reason I'm saying this is because I would like to remind the House that prior to 1994, what used to happen is that a lot of people from poor European countries like Poland and the like used to be brought into the country by the apartheid regime. And Africans didn't get an opportunity of getting trained. African countries were getting these tools of trade much earlier than we do. Some countries were liberated in the 60s and so on. So when Africans come into our country, they bring those skills. So tread carefully in the way in which you handle them. But parting shot, may not be so pleasant to everybody in the House. Do not overcompensate for the pleasures and the security that our guerrillas enjoyed in foreign soil. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Fetan. Honorable Madisha. Ngiyabonga. Honorable Chairperson, thank you. The most important objectives of Home Affairs are to regulate immigration, to ensure security, to promote development, and to fulfill South Africa's international obligations. Our borders, unfortunately, are very porous. Our registration process far too tedious and far too cumbersome. It takes months for the registration process to reach conclusion. Things hang in the air endlessly. We welcome, Minister, your declared commitment to use an automated application process to normalize the stay of foreign nationals who were in the country illegally for quite some time, of course, and of course in future, let's look into that. Now, there are a number of problems, really. The 2 billion Gijima Who Am I project went nowhere but only to the courts in 8 years. The department, therefore, did not have the ability to use technology to speed up registration processes. And we therefore say that we've got to look into that. Home Affairs now wants to assure us that it is replacing outdated systems with new, secure, and cutting-edge technologies with, I think, 110 to 403 offices equipped with the live capture system for the processing of smart ID cards and new passports. At present, 38 million citizens, as we know, with green ID books, wait to convert to the smart ID card. People truly want to see us moving forward and succeeding. Another matter that is of great importance to us and the nation is the hundreds of millions of rands lost because of futile legal battles and challenges. How much did Home Affairs spend on legal fees and costs awarded by courts against it? Has the department learned any lessons? Will the minister also shed light on why the department has reserved 23.4 million rand for consultants this year? Although this figure is 18.2% less than last year, it is still a significant amount. What do they do? And why has the department not built up its capacity over 21 years? We need, of course, to look into that positively. The department has 242 officials who are on salary grades 11 to 16. Can they not do the job? Are consultants indispensable? What hourly rates do they attract? Another matter of concern is the travel and subsistence budget. This year, the department proposes to spend 168.9 million rand. Is Home Affairs implementing the curtailment ordered by the Minister of Finance? Please conclude.
We therefore are saying yes, we agree that we should go on and have implementation, but then these are some of the things that we need to look into.
Thank you, Honorable Matisha. Honorable Kenya.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Ministers, Deputy Ministers, and Honorable Members of this House, and the guests on the gallery. ANC supports the budget vote for the Department of Home Affairs. We celebrated Freedom Day just a week ago, and it is apt to mention the fact that the Department of Home Affairs is very central in promoting a sense of belonging, that is social cohesion, to this country's citizens through its delivery of civic services. The delivery of these services cannot be taken for granted, as it was the backbone of the struggle for freedom, as the majority, our citizens, were blatantly denied this right conferred to them by birthright. The delegates on the day of the adoption of the Freedom Charter at Cliptown in 1955 committed themselves that, I quote, "These freedoms we will fight for side by side throughout our lives until we win liberty," close quote. Sihlalo idabi lenkululeko silifezile, iziqhamo zayo siyazinqamla. Singumbutho wesizwe i-ANC sisatsho inyamazana zange yala. Siyakusoloko siqinisa imixakatho ukuzisa inkonzo eluntwini. Yiyo loo nto ndisithi namhlanje le ndlela ihanjwa leli sebe lakwandaba zabantu masilixhase ngezi nkozwana iParlamente iziphumezayo namhlanje. As the President of the Republic declared 2015 as the year of the Freedom Charter and Unity in Action to advance economic freedom, it is apt to support the Department of Home Affairs in ensuring all citizens are documented and necessary essential services such as extending registration of birth to all health facilities are delivered to ensure that they fully enjoy their rights of citizenship and access to services provided by the state. To ensure that the identity of all persons in South Africa is known and secured, the department has committed to ensure that registration at birth is the only entry point to the new national identity system. Chairperson, it is therefore quite encouraging to see the department at the forefront of driving innovation to ensure that all citizens are properly documented to allow them to participate meaningfully in our democracy, access and enjoy all attendant rights as South Africans. The department has also committed to develop a system to capture biometric data of all travelers who enter or exit South Africa, at least by 2018-2019, and that NIS will be the backbone of e-government. The broad modernization program of replacing outdated, fragmented systems with an integrated platform of digital system will prevent fraud and corruption on identity and passport documents, thus creating a high security environment. The struggle for our democracy was, among other things, premised on serving all the citizens of this country equally to make lives better. The African National Congress, through the guidance of these brave and gallant leaders and the mobilization of the masses, ensured that all South Africans enjoy these rights, as we believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, as captured in the Freedom Charter preamble. The Department of Home Affairs, through its Citizen Affairs Division, provides vital civic services.
Honourable members.
The Department of Home Affairs, through its Citizen Affairs Division, provides vital civic services that enables all citizens to access, enjoy, and practice their rights as citizens. In this regard, the Department of Home Affairs moved heaven and earth to ensure that turnaround times for IDs, passports, and other matters is drastically improved. It is very encouraging to see that the department has prioritized turnaround times on document issuing in their annual plans. The improved turnaround times have been widely acknowledged as indicated by positive responses from the public. Such turnaround times have been achieved through hard work and innovation. Such innovation have included the extension of office hours and days to include Saturdays, and the maximization of current available human resources to deliver services to the people. Chairperson, the ANC supports the Minister of Home Affairs and his Director General for this innovation, as the actual hours of work for the concerned employees is not affected, but fall within what is allowed by the Labour Relations Law. The Department of Home Affairs is mainly, among other matters, responsible for ensuring that all persons in South Africa are known and secured. The department's innovation drive has extended to partnerships with different banks to allow citizens to apply for their smart IDs whilst attending to their banking needs. This will replace the 38 million green ID books. This partnership with banks will allow the department to increase its service access points, and thus improve service delivery to the public. This will also allow a quicker phasing out period of the green ID book as it is replaced by the more secure smart ID. These initiatives are decisive leadership in providing an efficient, effective, and development-oriented public service. They are geared towards increased responsiveness to public needs and ensuring that department is accountable to what the public expect of it. All these initiatives by the department will improve the client's frontline experience through a better service and reduced waiting periods when applying for documentation. In concluding, Chairperson, this department needs more encouragement and support on its giant steps on innovation to enable the inclusion of all citizens in democracy and development by providing them with a status and an identity that gives them rights and services. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kenya. Honorable Swart.
Thank you, House Chair, Honourable Minister, and Deputy Minister, members. We from the ACDP side have most definitely seen an improvement in Home Affairs, and we just urge you to continue with the improvement. And I just want to say, just relate a personal experience. How many of you have got children? My daughter was at the airport, Oliver Tambo Airport, and she came to immigration and her passport was blocked. And it wasn't her problem, but it was a Home Affairs problem, and I was able to contact the DG, and I want to thank the DG and his staff for the assistance that within 24 hours, a new passport was granted. And I trust that that same service that we as MPs receive is received by members of the public as well. We members, officials that are here from the department will know that the ACDP has many queries that we do raise with the department, and I want to thank them for the courteous way that they deal with us from the ACDP and assist wherever necessary. So well done in that regard. I want to just touch on the issue of xenophobia that many of us have spoken about, and I just wanted to, and Deputy Minister, we miss you in the Justice Committee, but you are doing a good job. Today we met with the Human Rights Commission, and they alluded to their 2010 report following the xenophobic violence of 2008. And the question which arose, which I raised with them today, was to what degree were your recommendations in that report implemented by government? And again, it's a speculative issue. Should all those recommendations have been implemented, would we have avoided what we've seen recently? Clearly, I think that some of them, in particular, the recommendations relating to an early warning system and an annual indaba to assess progress in tackling xenophobia, as well as other issues which they raised in their report, had they been implemented more vigorously, I think we might have been able to reduce the scale of xenophobic violence. But again, it was not on the scale of 2008. And again, every life lost is regretted, and we are all on record for saying that. But it is an issue that in April this year, the Human Rights Commission noted that most of the recommendations that they made in their report, and again, it's not all Home Affairs, they related incidents relating to the Department of Justice, SAPS, Cooperative Development, Education, Human Affairs. And one of the interesting recommendations they made was for Home Affairs and the Department of Education to work together to improve the syllabus at schools for teaching about the dangers of xenophobia. So there's some very positive aspects here that are contained in this very comprehensive report. And it's something that I think we from the ACDP would urge government to look at again so that we can avoid the xenophobia that we have seen. But the ACDP will support this budget vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mbinda.
Honorable Chair, the Minister, Gaba, and the honorable members. This bill proposes that the department be allocated 0.95% of the total budget. No, this budget vote. Looking at the mandate of this department, this amount is not sufficient. As much as there have been improvements in delivery of citizens' documents in terms of their sophistication and supporting technology, the fundamental mandate remains a distant dream. Home Affairs is supposed to be the custodian, protector, and the verifier of the identity and status of citizens and other persons residing in South Africa. It has not been a custodian as other government departments, as it still has to collect its own data in this technologically advanced world. The PAC proposes that the Department of Health should be connected to the population register to access data. And number two, the Department of Police should access the biometric information from the population register. Three, the biometric information of the immigrants should have been collected from the point of entry and held in custody by Home Affairs. Home Affairs remain in the old paradigm. The use of smart card, if you look at countries like Bolivia, Nigeria, and India, is something to admire. The e-government advancement of Estonia depicts the possibilities in the custodianship, protection, and verification of the identity. Home Affairs remain a big security gap in clamping down on crime and being a platform for proper intelligence work. PAC is not happy with the time Home Affairs is taking to approve asylum seekers and refugee status, as it allows 9 qualifying individuals with unknown intentions to roam around our country. This creating security risk to the country and potential animosity with other countries of the world. In outsourcing, the PAC is calling for the Home Affairs to utilize state-owned companies before exploring a domestic private sector and handing over the taxpayers' money to foreign companies. The money must rotate within the state many times before exiting our system. In light of the above-mentioned observation, the PAC is in support of the vote. But Honorable Chair, let me also congratulate the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania for educating the charterists, because today they understand that they are Africans.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mbinda. Honorable Koti.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, comrades, and honorable members. The APC supports this budget vote. We do so with our eyes wide open to the challenges facing the department. It is expected, Comrade Minister, that these challenges must be overcome so that as Parliament passes this budget, we do so with the confidence and guarantee that there will be full and proper financial accountability 12 months down the line. As the APC, we expect that set targets or predetermined objectives must be met. It serves no purpose to set targets and they are not met, yet you have an expenditure of 99.97% of the budget. This level of expenditure must correspond with the level of achievements of planned targets. The last report of the Auditor General on the levels of accountability for financial management and expenditure does not make for good reading. The fundamental flaw was the status of accounting records, the lack of adequate systems of internal controls for recording and reconciling transactions and events with the financial statements. The department must have standard operating procedures whose implementation is properly monitored and reviewed with sufficient time to address internal audit findings. The AG in the last financial year had 12 qualification issues. Of these, predetermined objectives have been a finding for the last 4 years, whilst compliance with legislation has been a finding for the last 5 years. 3 other findings were not there before, whilst 10 of the 12 are repeat findings. This shows a lack of improvement in some instances. It shows a lack of improvement and in some instances, regression. We need better cohesion between head office and regional offices. Regional heads must understand and appreciate the importance of proper record management and reporting, whilst management must do effective monitoring. Comrade Minister, the transactions between the Department of Home Affairs and DECO need to be properly regulated. This issue is long outstanding and has always been a negative finding by the Auditor General. With the local government elections next year, the APC appreciates the filling of vacancies in the IEC Commission. We congratulate Commissioner Mashinini on his appointment and hope the last one will be filled soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Koti. Honorable Kumete.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister Kikaba, and your predecessor, Honorable Pando, Honorable Deputy Ministers, and all honorable members and esteemed guests. The ANC proposes adoption of this budget vote because we are satisfied that 1, it is managerially sound. 2, it is financially affordable, and it is located within the fiscal and monetary policy paradigm of the ANC government. I shall focus on strategic objectives of the department, one after the other. The first one is to ensure a secured South African citizenship and identity. All eligible citizens should be issued with enabling documents relating to identity and status. Okuwukuthi kumele sazi ngaphandle kokungabaza ukuthi umuntu ungubani, wapi, ushadile, akashadanga, uyimpohlo, uyaphila noma usaphambana nemvula. Izincwadi zokuthi uzelwe zifanele uma esezelwe umfana noma uma esezelwe uyintombazane, ubani uyise, ubani unina, uzalwe nini, wazalwa kuphi. In the days of apartheid and colonialism, an ID was a tool of oppression for the majority. Now it is a liberating instrument of empowerment, freedom, and liberation. An instrument that underpins the right to vote, which is a right to a voice in your governance. That empowerment starts with a right to the same birth certificate for all citizens. The target is that it should be issued within 30 days of birth everywhere, and we believe that will prevent fraudulent issue of birth certificates as well as fraudulent IDs. The department is engaging a number of stakeholders in order to achieve that. Umnyango uphokophele ukuthi mayingapheli inyanga ingane ingenayo i-birth certificate. Kulokho ubambisene nalabo abathintekayo njengezibhedlela, amakhosi nabanye ukuze lokhu kufezeke kube impumelelo. Coming to the rollout of smart ID cards, the department wants to increase its production of smart cards issued, and it is in partnership with some banks, as the minister has mentioned, as well as the South African Post Office. The latter is still a pilot project, we have learned. The Portfolio Committee, however, is concerned about the involvement of the South African Post Office, particularly with the unrest that is becoming a feature of the Post Office. We are concerned about security of these important documents in an environment where there is no cooperation between major stakeholders, that is, employees and the employers, as this may compromise security features and secure issue of the document. Ikomiti liyakuxhasa ukusebenza namabhange kodwa likhathazekile ngokuphepha kolwazi oluyimfihlo ngabantu ikakhulukazi ngoba abamaposi bahlala beba neziteleka eziphazamisa ukusebenza kwabo. The ANC has resolved that sentences for ID theft and fraud should be much harsher, as it regards this as a severe crime deserving a severe sentence. In this program, 2.2 million smart card IDs are projected to be rolled out in 2015-2016, which would increase to 3 million in 2016-2017 and to 5 million in 2017-2018. Unyaka ke wokuphela kwezincwajana eziluhlaza asikwazanga ukuthi siuthole emnyangweni. Sibheke ukuthi lokhu kusheshe kucace. In line with modernization and security upgrade, the department produces machine-readable passports that have the same security features as the smart ID cards to combat fraudulent issue of these documents. To further improve security of all documents, records will be managed electronically using an audited security mechanism. The fight against corruption and fraud continues. Siyaqhuba. The next pillar of the strategy will be immigration control. Movement of persons in and out of the country would be managed according to a risk-based approach. The Border Management Agency will be established soon and be given the necessary resources and capacities to operate optimally together with other relevant stakeholders. In addition, the department intends to improve infrastructure at ports of entry in order to be more effective against organized crime, illegal entry, drug trafficking, people trafficking, child trafficking, and so forth. It will work together with other stakeholders like the police, the SANDF, customs, state security agencies, among others. Over and above, it will make border communities much more aware of immigration issues. There have been debates around the issue that colonial borders should not be observed, and the Freedom Charter remains instructive on this. It says, South Africa shall be a fully independent state which respects the rights and sovereignty of all nations. It continues, the people of the protectorates, Basutoland, Bechuanaland, which is Botswana, and Swaziland shall be free to decide for themselves their own future. The right of all peoples of Africa to independence and self-government shall be recognized and shall be the basis of close cooperation, close quotes. This is over and above what our Constitution says. Our Constitution does not say anybody from any country in Africa should come to South Africa because borders are colonial. It says Africa should decide what to do about immigration together, the independence of other countries, and that step is being taken at the African unity, as we can see, infrastructure development programs and so forth. We hope that will assist in improving service at outlets. That is the fourth pillar, which is in line with the National Development Plan, which requires us to have a capable state. The department is improving management and supervisory capacity and capabilities using training programs that will include staff training as well. This it does because it cares. We hope that will assist in improving service at the outlets and emphasize the issue of service with care, which continues to be a challenge in some offices. In continuing the fight to combat corruption, the department strives to develop an improved ethics management program, improving vetting, better investigation capacity, and reliable audits. We are satisfied that the medium-term economic framework is in line with the NDP. Let's continue to build our motherland together. As the ANC, we are prepared to lead from the front. All people should be safe and feel safe. Siyakuba.
Thank you, Honorable Kumete. Honorable Minister, you have 12 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I want to thank the honorable members for their contributions to the debate, and particularly those who have supported our budget vote. And I would like to comment on a few issues. On the consultancy fees, This is a provision of IT services as the department is moving to a paperless environment. Incrementally, the department is therefore increasing its capacity, and during the current financial year, we will recruit additional 58 posts for the maintenance of our system. Secondly, around the issues of subsistence and traveling, this is really to address the fact that the department has operations abroad to provide consular services, and therefore there are staff posted abroad. Currently, we are represented at 35 countries, and we need to meet to service the needs of our citizens abroad, and hence the traveling cost. I want to thank the honorable members who have focused on the program the department is implementing and the progress we are making. Earlier today, I received 2 messages on Instagram. One from Nkosi Gugusha saying he applied for new passports on the 24th of April. He received them on the 27th of April, 3 days later. And then he says, "Hayi urhulumente akamanga siyaqhuba." And Mayenzeke Baza also says, "Got my passport in 3 days. I'm super impressed. This is what I call efficiency." I want to thank the staff of our department who have continued to work under challenging times, particularly as we faced recently system interruptions and network interruptions, and yet we continue to serve our people. But I want to come back to the issues raised by Honorable Goti and assure him that we are working around the clock to resolve to improve our financial accountability. I think when we next interact with the, maybe not soon, but in the next interactions with the SCOPA, you will be calling us to praise us for the progress we will have made in that regard. Our e-channel to address the concerns about whether the data at the banks will be safe. The data goes into the Home Affairs and GPW systems. So it doesn't stay with the banks. But I think that the South African banks are overall overwhelmingly trustworthy in terms of maintaining and keeping data. And I don't think we should cast aspersions on them. They're going to assist us to expand our footprint, and we appreciate that act of generosity on their part and patriotism. Our borders are also not as porous as we really make them out to be. We have soldiers. It's not that we recently have soldiers at the borders. We actually have had soldiers at our borders for a long time. And very few people have been arrested for crossing the border illegally. Yes, the margin of error could be there. But overall, the soldiers are doing their work. Most people who enter South Africa do so as documented migrants, carrying documents, and therefore we are what we would term legal immigrants. So the perception we continue to peddle without challenging it, that most immigrants in our country, particularly African immigrants, are undocumented and therefore illegal, actually makes them vulnerable and exposes them to all manner of risks that there may be in society when somebody is perceived to be that way. But I would like to come back to what the Honorable Hussein raised. First, I will say, Honorable Member, I'm not going to talk about you, to attack you personally. I will not sink down to your level. I will keep the decorum of the debate at the level where it should be. And let me address you, sir. The Honorable Member, Chair, exposes precisely the modus operandi of the DA. Blame, criticize, destroy, no solution. You saw this even as they were campaigning for elections. They know everything that is wrong about everyone else, but they do not know how to solve it. They know why people should not vote for anybody else, but they cannot tell us why we should vote for them. you hope by so doing that you will hoodwink us into supporting you without knowing what you have to offer this country, because you know yourselves you have nothing to offer. Now, the Honorable Hussein first argues that there is no justification for the violence against foreign nationals, and then goes ahead to proffer a miserable justification for it. He says we mustn't engage in a blame game, but goes ahead.
Honourable Minister, there's a hand.
Chair, on a point of order, I'm not sure if the people in the gallery are meant to be participating in this debate by clapping.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member, for raising that. Honourable Member, please, let us request our invited guests not to participate in the debate. Please, let us not do that. Honourable Members, Honourable Thandi. Please, Honourable Members, let us proceed, Honourable Minister. I think the guests are there. They've heard us requesting them to do. Please do that, Honourable guests.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. The Honourable Hussein says we must not play the blame game, and goes right ahead to do it, offering absolutely no solution for any of the things he considers to be wrong, but is happy to blame us for all the things which are imaginary in his mind, and goes further to make an unfounded allegation that I blamed His Majesty, King Zwelithini. Never once did I do that, sir. Never once. What I said, I am on record as saying no leader in our country, whether political, religious, or otherwise, I included community leaders, must make a statement that will expose.
Honourable Minister, Honourable Hussein, yes, sir.
Honourable Chair, does the Honourable Minister have the courage to take a question on that
matter? Honourable Members, let us allow the Minister to answer himself. No, Honourable Members, please. Let us allow the Minister to answer. Honourable Minister, will you prepare to take a question?
No, Honourable Chairperson. An honourable member cannot mislead the House and then hope that he can run away from that fact by seeking to ask a question just to obfuscate matters. The fact of the matter is that we met with His Majesty, with Minister Mahlobo, discussed the issues. We knew what we were discussing with His Majesty, and never did His Majesty raise the question that anyone amongst us had attacked him, because nobody had. We raised a caution to all leaders in our country at a moment when violence was erupting, that we need all to be circumspect with what we are going to say. The Honourable Hussein goes further to accuse Mr. Mashinini of being an ANC functionary, and forgets that there was Ms. Talliard recently on the IEC. A former DA member, there is no chair who has been appointed, a former DA member and sympathizer, and you conveniently forget that. You fuss about the immigration regulations, yet your own MEC in the Western Cape has claimed that regardless of everything, tourism in the Western Cape has improved. It is therefore ignorant to blame the regulations for a decline in tourism in an era, in a period when there was widespread Ebola outbreak in Africa, and all African countries experienced a drop in tourism numbers as a result of that. But it's also disingenuous of the honourable member not to praise the regulations for improving our national security and addressing our economic concerns. The honourable member has a very deep misunderstanding and lack of knowledge of immigration. And we will get a chance to assist to bring him up to a level where he can speak with eloquence and understanding of what international migration is. The influx of undocumented migrants is not a phenomenon confined to South Africa alone. All countries in the world, including those with large borders, including countries with electric fences around them, or countries which are separated by oceans, experience undocumented migrants, and people brave these waters, vicious as they are, in order to get to countries where they wish to go. The honorable member, whilst noting that countries around the world are dealing with complex challenges of mixed migration flows, undermines that very same statement by pointing out that Europe is a paragon of virtue on the subject. No, sir, it's not. Be better informed. Do your research properly. Limiting undocumented immigration, irregular migration, is not merely a matter of border security. It's also a matter of constructive partnerships with other countries in the region. It can't be the responsibility of South Africa alone to manage irregular migration. We need to partner with our neighboring countries to share responsibilities and burdens in that regard. Now, clearly, the honorable member would be better advised that increasing inspections is not about ending irregular migration through deportations. It is about addressing the pull factors which bring people here. Undocumented migrants will be less likely to come to South Africa if they believe they will not be able to find work without an appropriate visa. The only way to ensure they are unable to work illegally is to impose consequences on the employers who hire them. That is what the inspectors are here for. None of the things that the honorable member was going on and on about. But let me then turn to the honorable Maxon, who loves talking about corruption, fraud, and so on. But I would like us to talk perhaps about tax evasion. I would like us to talk about the allegations made by the former CFO of your party. Now, we've set our targets.
Honorable Maxon.
Is the minister prepared to take a question?
Honorable Minister, are you prepared to take a question?
No.
Is the minister a coward?
Perhaps smarter. We have set our targets against our current capacity, but are expanding our footprint, which will increase the numbers. So to argue that the targets we have set will take too long for us to finally convert the green ID documents into smart ID cards neglects the fact that we have announced that we are utilizing e-channels to provide our services, which is going ultimately to increase our delivery targets. I want to also state clearly that VFS gets not a cent from the Department of Home Affairs. They claim their money against their clients. ANC members and leaders have a right to debate in public about immigration issues, and I invite even you, Honorable Maxon, through you, Chair, to also make your views known. Clearly you have no views on the issue, you don't know anything about it.
Chair.
You probably, the honorable member would probably argue.
Honorable Minister.
But this is unfair. I asked the minister if she can take a question, but he continued to engage me because he knows that I can't answer back. Minister, can you please address your members who are very, very keen to listen to you?
Honorable Maxon. No, honorable members, let us allow again to continue.
Thank you, Chair. The honorable member can get a chance to respond in the committee, and I will be very happy to engage you, brave as you are, smart as I am. Anyway, we will debate even more in the coming months.
Order, Chair.
Please, honorable members, we are left with 1 second. And then, please, honorable member, we wanted to raise a point of order.
Yes. Is the honorable member prepared to take a question? Honorable Minister.
Honorable Minister.
No. The final point, Honorable Chair, is that...
Honorable Minister, please conclude.
Thank you. The final point is that it is also inaccurate to say that we only deport African immigrants. In actual fact, many people who have been victims of the new regulations are not African immigrants. And secondly, there are many non-African immigrants who have been deported, including voluntarily, by the department over the years. And therefore, I think we need to correct that fact and state clearly that the Department of Home Affairs, Yakuba. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. That concludes the debate and the business of this extended public. Thank you very much, Honorable Member.
Take a question. Can I take a question?